Hello, my name is Christopher Kelby. In this video, I'm going to show the webhook feature which was introduced in Sitecore 10.3. This feature allows us to call an external API each time a Sitecore event is triggered. This is the first of two videos I'm making on the subject. The second video, I'm going to cover some more advanced way to utilize the webhook feature requiring custom code. But let's get started with the built-in functionality. I'm going to start out by setting up our event handler in Sitecore. The event handlers are located under System Webhooks, so I'm simply going to create one here. I'm going to call this item saved because I'm going to trigger this event handler each time the item saved is triggered. So I'm selecting the event down here, item saved. And I'm going to add a rule here, so I'm only going to trigger this event handler when content underneath home is saved. So I'm finding the rule down here. And selecting the home. Like that. And clicking on OK. Finally, I'm going to enable this event handler. I'm going to leave the URL empty right now, and I'm going to use JSON. So I'm going to save it. Next, I'm going to set up this endpoint that Sitecore is going to call. In this video, I'm using the simple integration platform IFTTT, but of course you can use anything. IFTTT is rather simple. It exposes some trigger endpoints that we can call, and we simply need to change the event name and the key. You can see the address here. So I'm simply going to take this one and put it into Sitecore. As you can see here, I've changed the event name to Sitecore item saved. I'm going to save this. I'm now going to set up a IFFT applet. My applet in IFFT simply contains a if, meaning that if this trigger is called, and a then, meaning that I will then send an email. You can see the email and the subject here. So if I go back to Sitecore and make a change, so I'm just going to make a change in this item and save it, you can now see that an email is sent from IFFT. If I go back in IFFT and check the activity log, I can see that the endpoint has been triggered, and I can even here see the data that I'm receiving from Sitecore. If we inspect the JSON payload we get from Sitecore, we can see that we get the event name. We get information about the item, including the item name, and we get information about the fields and how the fields have been changed. I can use that if I go back to IFFT. What I want to achieve is to put the item name inside the body of the email I'm sending. I do this by adding a filter, like this. And in the filter, I'm going to pass the JSON payload, and I'm then going to create a body, including the item name. And I'm setting that body to the email I'm sending. I'm adding the filter, and I am updating my applet. If I go back to Sitecore and make a change, like this, and save the item, I can then see that I'm now sending out an email, and the email includes the item name in the body. If I wanted to include more details about the saved item, I would, however, be limited by the content of the payload. As you can see, I have the parent ID, but I don't have information like, for example, the full path or the URL. Unfortunately, there is no out-of-the-box way to include those in the payload, but in my next video I'm going to describe how this can be achieved with custom events. If you want to learn more about webhook events in Sitecore and how custom webhook events can be utilized to customize the payload we receive from Sitecore when built-in events like items saved are called, you can visit my blog. My blog is on www.kelby.dk. Thanks for watching, and remember to see my next video where I will show you how you can customize the JSON payload that we receive from Sitecore.